As a few years ago, I was listening to a radio show, and it was about family businesses. And the guy started out saying that studies show that family businesses generate about half of the economic activity in the United States. And he said, how is this possible? My family can't even get through Thanksgiving dinner. And he had, it was a show where he had different people talk to the various disastrous things that happen to their family businesses. Some epic stories of people not talking to each other for 40 years. And they all had a kind of a positive twist by the time you got to the end, but sometimes it took a while. And that made me think about family in a different way. I've had it in my mind this whole time because we like to talk about being a family, the church family. How often have you heard that phrase, the church family? And we use that phrase very easily. And yet, there are ways in which we should be a little careful about it. I don't know, I haven't fortunately gotten to the point where I've had to meet the boyfriend. But when somebody comes into a family from the street and gets introduced by one of the members of the family, as a prospective member of the family, it's an intimidating process, isn't it? And if you're a family, you don't just take somebody in off the street. You check them out for a while. You test them. You make sure you're on the same page. You try to ensure that they're going to be a good addition to the family. Now the secret is, of course, that they want to be there bad enough, you'll take them anyway. And you might have to put up with them. Eventually you realize you have to put up with them. They're not going away. But the point is that image of being a family, I see somebody smiling. And if you smile, you're not the only one. If you create that, if we think of ourselves as a family, the way we usually think of it, that's a group that's pretty hard to break into. And it's a group that's made up of people who are pretty much the same. You watch these romantic comedies, which are all over the place. And of course, the common theme is people get together and they seem like they're not right for each other, and then they find out they are. And a lot of one of the themes as a family is saying, that guy's nothing like you, or that girl's nothing like you, and having to get over it. So, when we talk about family, it's not there's a lot of positive in it. So we need to be a little bit thoughtful, maybe, a little bit careful about how we use that if we're a church family. But we still use it. Because the thing is that Jesus did talk over and over again about how the church is a family. He told us to call God Father, even Daddy. There's a word, Abba, Father. Paul says, when we cry, Abba, Father, it is that very Spirit bearing witness with our spirit that we are children of God. And Jesus in our family is like the oldest brother. Jesus who sanctifies and those who are sanctified all have one Father. For this reason, Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers and sisters. So we are supposed to think of ourselves as a family. But the danger is, today at least, that it is very easy to think that family means the same kind of people. If you look at, if you look at churches, especially here, there was a book I was reading, and it talked about freedom of religion in America. And, in most other countries, when the United States was founded, there was an official church. And some places would allow you to go to another church, but you at least had to send your tax money to the one church. And the founding fathers said, we're not going to do that. And so, very rapidly, churches sprung up all over the place, more than anybody had ever imagined. And that's one of the reasons that there's such vitality in the church here, even today. But what somebody pointed out was, when everybody was free to go off and start their own church, they all tended to draw together the people who were kind of like them. And so it got to the point, some of you may know this, I have heard more than one person talk about where somebody was in the social hierarchy of their town based on what church they went to. Any of you ever hear that? Some churches are up here, and then down, and you kind of have a list. Now, of course, different people might have different lists. Always common. So, when you call yourself a family, when we call ourselves a church family, we have to beware falling into the trap of thinking that it's the kind of family where everybody is kind of the same. That's what Jesus comes back to us. Jesus says his family is not based on anything of this world. He says, whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. Whoever. Jesus is saying the family that the church is, the church family, is not about how you look, how you dress, how much education you have, what kinds of things you like to do. It's based on doing the will of our Father in heaven. Whoever.